Hello students, a very warm welcome to you once again. Today, I would like to start a series of videos which is relevant to all the students studying at different levels. There are many queries that I have received in which they are asking, Sir, can you create an outline for the syllabus? Which topic am I supposed to cover when I'm reading a newspaper? Sir, how in depth am I supposed to go into a topic? To answer all these questions, I need to tell you that the optional subjects are having certain boundaries that you must be aware of. Yes, I understand that you know what is the syllabus, but have you looked at the syllabus in a very detailed manner? In this particular series, I want to tell you that if you are studying optional from a coaching institute, if you have already finished your optional studies maybe 1 or 2 years back, or you are just planning to begin, these lectures are going to assist you in your holistic understanding of the whole syllabus. For example, if the paper 1 has got 10 units, I will be creating 10 different sets of videos, and in those one video I will be taking a look at one unit in a very exploratory manner. A detailed explanation is going to be given. So let's not just waste our time. Let's get started. Today I will only be talking about Unit 1, Sociology, the discipline. And as you look at the first topic, yes, as you look at the first topic, modernity and social changes in Europe, what this topic is trying to tell, let's understand. Today, we are seeing that different sets of modernity has been achieved. Look around yourself. Take a look at the air conditioner that has come. Take a look at the fast-paced communication technologies, AIs, which are being developed. All this modernity, if we try to trace back, they are not more than 400, 500 years old. Even though the fast-paced modernity has come only in the last 10 to 30 years, but if you take a look at all the sets of different modernities at a global level, they have been witnessed only from past 15th and 16th century. The first unit is basically trying to tell us how does this sociology comes into existence. So the existence of this subject have basically started somewhere around 15th century. Why? Because in Europe in 15th century an important event has taken place which is called to be as Enlightenment period. This is also called to be as the awakening of the human souls, also called to be as Renaissance, popularly known as the rebirth of society. So once the 15th century have started to come and people have started to explore in different centuries, different explanations have started to come. For example, in 16th century, there was a presence of commercial revolution that began. What is this commercial revolution? The European sailors, voyagers, they have started to explore different continents. You might have heard about Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama, etc. They are associated to the 16th century commercial revolution. What did they do? They started to create an interaction of Europeans with the other non-European continents, such as one person goes and later after 50 100 years the Britishers and the French people they will start establish colonies in North America, in Africa, in Asia, etc. So 16th century is all about commercial revolution. In 17th century, humans have started to go away from the religion, and that away it was replaced with the aspect of science revolution that started to begin. All the different theories that we are studying today, gravity, etc. So Copernicus, Galileo, Newton, physics, chemistry, biology, all these different fields of science have started to explore. And then in the 18th century, the maximum amount of modernity have started to come. And that started with the role of industrial revolution and also with the help of political revolution. Mostly this political revolution is associated to the French Revolution of Europe. Now, in this particular first topic of your Unit 1, Modernity and Social Changes in Europe, we are trying to take a look at how the social changes are coming in Europe. Because what are the social changes? If we highlight every each and one topic is trying to bring different kinds of social changes. If I'm talking about a Renaissance, this will bring a social change in the aspect of ideology of human beings. So this is kind of bringing an ideological changes in European society, because the topic is what is meaning of modernity and what are the social changes in Europe. One social change is ideological changes are coming. People are thinking beyond religion. They are thinking in a more logical and rational manner. Commercial revolution is trying to bring a change. And what aspect of change? It is mostly bringing a change in the economic aspect. Why? Because these voyagers are going to go to new continents and they are going to change the economy. The banking system will come, the company acts will come, East India Company, Dutch companies, all these economic changes are going to get established. The science is going to bring a change in the aspect of religion. Traditional changes are going to come now. Now, once the religion has started to go away, it brings an aspect of theological changes, more amount of rationality and goal-oriented thought process will come. So logical and theological changes are going to get established. The industrial revolution, the French Revolution is trying to bring more amounts of political changes. So here I can highlight it's a political change. It's kind of a new orders are going to be released. The birth of democracy will take place in these political changes. The industrial revolution, it is a mixture of all these different one, two, three, all together will come, and this will be called to be as the culture of that period. So it will bring a cultural change in those societies. So what is the first part of your unit one? We are looking at these sets of changes, and once all these changes they come into existence, now the people are going to question, what am I supposed to do in the case of 19th century? Now in 19th century, I need to study all these changes, A plus B plus C plus D. All these changes I want to study together. Is there a subject which can bring all these different disciplines together? Yes, let's give a birth to a subject. And what is this subject? It's a subject which is going to give a scientific study of society. What are your subject? Why? Because different disciplines are there. Economy as a discipline came up in 18th century. Philosophy as a discipline studying ideological changes is present from hundreds of years. Religion is being studied from past thousands of years. Culture is something which is a mixture of all political subjects, but there is no subject which is associated to the study of society. This subject with the study of society would be called to be as social physics. Later, this name was changed and it was called to be as sociology. And who did these changes? It was done by the father of sociology, that is Augustine. So here, even though you are going to study these topics in detail, I am just giving you an outline what are the different topics that you need to study. So you are going to study the different sets of philosophers which are going to be present. Some philosopher might be a political philosopher, some might be an economic philosopher, some might be just a social philosopher, but basically you are going to study these philosophers. Why? These philosophers are going to bring these sets of different ideas. You are going to study the philosophers, voyagers, and explorators. And finally, in 19th century, this subject begins, that is August Comte. Now, after looking at the first topic, now let's try to get into the second topic that we are having, the scope of sociology. What is the scope? Let me ask you a simple question. What is the meaning of the word scope? The term scope means, why am I doing it? What am I doing it over here? Like you hear the word scope in a job. So the question is, what am I doing here in this job? So if sociology has taken its birth in 19th century, the question is, what is this subject trying to do? So there might be different sets of answers. Some of you might say that the scope of this subject is to study a society. Yes, but that is too obvious. there's nothing extra that you're adding. We all know the meaning of the word is sociology. You know the word logy means study of something, socio means society. Yes, it's a study of society, but there is something more that I want you to understand. It's not just a study of society, but rather it is a scientific attempt to study the society. The word is very important, scientific attempt. And what are the scopes that needs to be defined here? We are trying to look at the purpose of the subject. Why did it come into existence? The purpose of the subject is the Europe has got into different forms of tremendous changes. The Europe has gone into different forms of tremendous changes. And how did these changes have come? If we compare the old Europe and if we take a look after 15th century, there has been a completely new Europe. Why? Because in the olden Europe, the person who was the most important, that is the king. But in the new Europe, who is the most important? That's a prime minister. In the older Europe, who was the important person? That was a pope. Now, pope is not important. Who is the important person over here? A scientist is an important person. On the other hand, land was an important kind of an element. It used to determine the power, etc. Now the power is being determined on the basis of the capital that you are having or the machines, because machines will take the industrial revolution forward. Here, land was an important aspect that used to be present. Here, what was important? The religion was an important element. On the other, the science has taken that place. So basically, this subject is dedicated to study all the elements which are associated with the traditional societies. On the other, we are trying to associate the elements which are present with the modern societies. So the scope of this subject is to study the society in a form of a contrast. The scope of the society is to study the different dynamic changes which are coming. And I must recall this subject has been associated with the three important principles: to know, to control, to predict. I will write it like this only: to know, to control, to predict. Because the father of sociology, August Comte, is telling that what is the primary reason, what we are trying to do? We are trying to study the society in three different ways. Here, this is predict. To know is basically studying what is the past of the society. All the history that you're reading, it is the past. To control, it is associated with the present. Whatever you're studying for the contemporary society, you're trying to have a better planning, better initiatives, better governance, etc. It's all. And then when you are able to have a more controlled present, you will be able to have a more predictable future. So what is the scope? There are different kinds of scopes that we are going to talk about. Here I have just discussed in a brief manner different scopes. So don't just study the scope of the subject is the study of society. You need to give an answer which is more broader. So one we are having is the scope of the sociology, and then after looking at the scope, we will be talking about comparison to the other social sciences. Now, what is the meaning of the word comparison to other social sciences? Here, sociology is not the only social science discipline, but there are so many other disciplines. Is it distinct? My answer is yes and no. Is it distinct? Yes, it is distinct because the way how the sociology is being studied, that is one, but at the same time, this subject has got a simple overlap with all the other disciplines as well. The topic is comparison of the subject with the other social sciences. The point what we are trying to find out is this subject has got an overlap with the other disciplines. At one, if you are having sociology, on the other, you are having different social sciences. Everywhere there is some kind of overlap which is being created. If, for example, if I take the subject of social science, it has got an overlap with a popular subject such as economy. Yes, there is an overlap of economy and sociology. If I talk about the subject such as political science, I should be able to compare what is political science and what is sociology. Because political science, many topics that you are going to study in sociology, if you go and see the unit 7, the whole unit 7 is about polity and society. Why are we studying pressure groups, political parties here? Are we not studying that in the subject of GS2? You will be studying, but in a different way. On here, if I compare the subject of history, why am I? Because history and sociology, they are strongly married to each other. In fact, history and sociology, they are rootless and they are fruitless without one another. We'll talk about this line later on. If I want to compare the subject of anthropology and sociology, both of them are trying to study society, but there is a difference. Anthro is the study of past societies, sociology is study of present societies. One is old societies, one is new society. And not to forget, the father of all social sciences is basically philosophy. On the other, there is an important discipline. What is the difference? Because many say sociology and psychology is one and the same. What do we study in sociology? We study society. What is society? It is a group of individuals. So if I understand individual, that subject is psychology. If I understand individual, basically understand society. This statement is absolutely nonsense. No, it doesn't make sense. So what is this comparison of different where one subject of social sciences comes to an end and where does sociology begins? We are trying to understand this. So this comparative view is very important for you to have a better grip. So the second part is comparison to other social sciences, and then the last part of your unit 1 is sociology and common sense. All these different senses are going to be a part. For example, at a larger level, we have something called to be as a common sense. What is a common sense? Any information or knowledge that does not require any verification or validation. If I am feeling sick, I should go to a doctor. Yeah, it's a common sense. If I want to make a home, I need a civil engineer. Yes, it's a common sense. Common sense means it is an information or it is a piece of knowledge that does not require any verification. It's very logical. It's something very easily generalized in the society. So many people have created or raised an argument that sociology is just like a common sense. The answer to that is no, not always. Many things which is not even like a common sense, it still becomes a part of social sense. For example, the way how manifest and latent studies are being done in this subject, even a thing which is not even justified as a common sense, that it might be created as a nonsense. Many tribal festivals are there, many religious elements are there. I'm not trying to degrade any kind of a thing over here. Here, the nonsense basically means it's not widely present in the society. It might be restricted to only certain groups. So, tribal practices are there, indigenous groups are there, religious festivals are there. They are not qualified on the parameters of common sense, yet it becomes a part of social sense. On the other hand, those information which is highly logical, it is not qualified to be called as a common sense. It might be considered to be as a form of rational sense. This also becomes a part of it. So rational sense, common sense, nonsense, all these are considered to be as a part of social sense. So one comes on the other, another comes on here, comes here. So here I will write the word nonsense, here I will write the word common sense, here I will write the word rational sense. All this will become a part of social sense. So here we are trying to look at what is the syllabus. So, like I've already told you, I'm not giving you a lecture on any particular topic. I'm just giving you an outline. What are the different topics that you are going to study? So, Unit 1 has basically got three parts into it. First part, we try to explain what is modernity and how Europe is changing. This way, the Europe is changing in all different ways. So, in this way, the Europe is changing. Okay, this is not working. Yeah. And then we later talk about what is the purpose of this subject. then we talk about the comparison to the other social sciences, sociology as a common sense, and that's it in our today's video. Now I want you to go and study your PDF material, listen to the lectures, etc. This is going to give you a proper understanding of what is a syllabus. So paper 1 has got 10 units. I will be creating 10 different videos. One unit we are going to take a little bit in detail. I don't want to make a shorts out of it. I don't care about the views that I'm going to get, but I want you to have a proper understanding before you start your optional preparation in detail. Or if you have already prepared it, I want you to take a look. This is the broader outline under which you are going to make your preparation. I will see you in the next video. Have a nice day.